I feel so summery and cheery for this video that's about to be really dark. Maybe I should change into something more appropriate. Hello my loves and welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you're new. Hi, I hope you stick around. Today I'm going to be doing another storytelling video, and this is where I actually narrate stories that I find online. Some of my personal favorites always come from Reddit. These in particular are from the Let's Not Meet subreddit, which is where people usually post things that really happened to them. I got married when I was 19, and so I never really had to deal with Tinder or anything like that. However, these stories, if you have ever used Tinder before, you probably never will again. So get yourself a snack or a drink, and let's read some creepy stuff. So this just happened today. Against my better judgment, at the beginning of the month, I got a Tinder. I matched up with a few guys, etc. One of them is James. We ended up texting each other, and he seemed pretty chill and pretty into me. He's a decent looking guy, and we seemed to click. He had apparently been in a relatively abusive relationship with a woman, and he was looking to start over. According to him, she had hit him with a frying pan and pepper sprayed him once. He kept going on about how crazy she was. Alright, it happens. We went out to the movies this past Friday, and I had a great time. We ended up talking for a few hours, and we hit it off pretty well. I asked about the ex because I was a bit curious as to why he'd stay with someone like that. He didn't say anything positive about her, just that she was crazy, had mental illnesses, and didn't take her meds. That kind of stuff. She had tried to baby trap him, but she had a miscarriage. He expressed relief that she didn't end up with the kid. He said he had felt obligated to her. Again, I get that. In all, I had a good time. This morning rolls around and he tells me that he had hooked up with his ex last night and that he was going to try to work things out with her. Mildly insulting that I lost out to an abusive chick, but whatever. I tell him it's cool. He then, a few hours later, texted me to say that she was crazy and he thought she was changing, but she wasn't, blah blah. He kept asking if he could see me. He's being very pushy about wanting to see me today. He begged for 5 minutes of my time so he could explain to me. I politely told him that I didn't want to be involved with someone who was clearly hung up on his ex. This is where it got nuts. He admitted he still was, but he wanted to see me today so I could meet her and she could determine if I was better for him than she was, and that she wanted him to be happy because he and I had a connection. I flipped after that, told him that the fact that he needed his ex to determine who was right for him was absolutely nuts, and that's not what love is, and that I wanted no part of it. His ex started texting me after that, and it was non-stop insults and incoherent stuff that made no sense. She also dropped the bomb that she was his wife. I told her to F off and basically blocked the number. I went on Tinder to message him, where I called him a piece of crap, and if he was intelligent, he should leave her and never message me again. He started to harass me, saying that I was miserable because they have a beautiful love together, and all this crazy stuff. He then went on to say, "My wife knows where you work. I hope she doesn't do anything rash." And I told him that if that was a threat, I would gladly go to the police. He then said that she's been to jail before, she's not afraid, and that she loves him so much she'd screw anyone up and risk jail for him, that she'd kill my friends if they tried to protect me, and that she's armed and dangerous. I told him goodbye, reported him, and deleted my Tinder account. I did go to the police tonight, but since it wasn't a direct threat, they can't do much. The cop thinks that James was more or less full of it and just trying to scare me, since some people love getting off on that stuff. He said I did the right thing by blocking him and reporting him, and said I should just keep my eyes open and alert the people at my job. Scary thing is, James seemed perfectly normal, but he lied about being married, how he felt towards his wife, and he flipped like a switch. His excuse for not being upfront about being married was that they were going to get a divorce. He seemed so docile and unassuming, and the hatred and the aggressive attitude was insane. I have to honestly wonder what would have happened had I gone to talk for 5 minutes. I'm kind of concerned since they do know where I work, but if either of them try anything, then the cops can actually nail them. What a weekend. So, hey guys, I've been lurking on this sub for like 2 years, and thanks to the wonders of online dating, I finally have quite the story to share with you. I use Tinder pretty frequently, and it's usually cool. Just meeting people, chillin', smoking with most of them. So I matched with this dude named Charlie, and he seems cool. He's really cute, and he plays music, which is really appealing to me as I also sing and play piano. We talked for a little while, and I agree to meet him at his house. Mistake number 1. Why did I think it was a good idea to meet a stranger in their home? I don't know, girl. I don't drive, so I take an Uber over, and it's a decent way away, so it's kind of pricey. When he buzzes me into the apartment complex, I got this really creepy vibe, but I shook it off his nerves. I go up to the 3rd floor and he's standing at the door. Things are cool, we're just chillin', we smoked a couple bowls, and we're watching a movie. So he makes a move on me and I go with it. We end up on the bed and we're obviously engaging in adult activities when out of nowhere he wraps his hands around my neck hard. Now that's all fine and good with me, I mean I can dig that in the right setting, but alone in a stranger's house when he didn't even check to see if it's cool is not one of those settings. So I literally can't breathe, and I'm fairly certain I'm turning blue at this point, and he is just relentless. Not only is he asphyxiating me, he's now yelling in my face, "Are you scared?" with this wild look in his eyes. And I'm like, yeah, I'm scared. You're trying to kill me right now. I started to struggle and he was gripping even harder. I'm not even kidding you guys. I seriously thought I was going to die. By some miracle, I wriggle out of his grasp and start screaming. He's yelling at me to calm down and I'm frantically trying to put on my clothes. He grabs my wrist as I'm leaving and I use all of my strength to pull away and slam the door. I get home and I look in the mirror and I have hella bruises on my neck. I try to cover it up with makeup to no avail. I straight up look like I was almost strangled to death. Then he texts me saying, "I think you need more than one." And I'm like, oh, really? You want to bring a friend and kill me together? How lovely. Anyways, I blocked him and reported him on Tinder. I wish I could have done more because I seriously think he would have killed me. I've been debating going to the police, but the bruises are gone. It's a he said, she said thing. But I'm really starting to wonder if I should because the next girl might not be so lucky. 0 out of 10 would not attempted murder again. Crazy Strangler Tinder dude, let's not meet. Around March of 2014, I started talking to this girl on Tinder. She seemed cool and fun, and after about a week of talking, she suggested we meet up in person. She invited me to this coffee shop and I accepted. However, the day of, she started messaging me saying she had to tell me something. Her pictures on Tinder weren't actually of her, and yes, she was a guy. He claimed he really liked talking to me though and begged me to still meet up with him. Naturally, I declined. I blocked his profile and continued on with life. About a week later, I started talking to another girl. Once again, she seemed cool and fun and we hit it off. She asked me if I spoke to people on Tinder frequently, and rather stupidly, I told her about my previous encounter with a man. Weeks later, I would realize that this new girl was the same girl as the week before. She asked me if I wanted to meet up, and I said sure, as long as it was a public place. We decided on a cafe, and the next day I sat at the table waiting. 5, 10, 15 minutes had passed, and she was nowhere to be found. I then peered out the window and saw, from across the street, a man staring at me intently. I looked away, waited a few seconds, and looked back. He was still standing there, staring. At that point, I left the cafe, got on my bike, I always bike everywhere, and booked it home. I was definitely a little freaked out, but tried to pull myself together and reasoned that no one could have followed me. I then deleted my Tinder profile and things were normal for a few weeks. About 3 weeks later, I started getting phone calls. The numbers all showed up as unknown. I picked up the first few times to some guy breathing heavily into the phone. I was already a little freaked out. After about a day, I stopped picking up any call unless it displayed the caller's name. I then started receiving texts. At first, they were pretty harmless. Calls for attention and begging me to meet in person. Then it changed to very sexual texts, until eventually the messages became threatening and whoever was messaging me started throwing out my family and friends' names and whereabouts, saying he/she would get them involved unless I answered. Because they were texting me, I could see a displayed number. But when I called phone providers, they told me the number couldn't be traced and that it was probably a track phone. Great. I waited about 2 weeks not responding to the text, thinking that I shouldn't feed the troll. But eventually, it became too much. I started getting upwards of 50 texts and phone calls a day. I would wake up to 10 to 20 texts every morning. Then I decided to change my number altogether. The texting/call stopped for a while, but sure enough, it started happening again. I called my phone provider asking if they ever gave out numbers at a user's request, and they said their policy stated that they wouldn't and couldn't unless valid identification was provided. Then one day, I tried logging into my Facebook and was denied. Within a day, friends started contacting me asking what the hell I was doing, saying that they were getting terrible messages from my account. In particular, one of my girlfriends was receiving messages about her mom who died years ago. I apologized profusely and told people what was going on. I contacted Facebook and explained the situation, and they helped me access my account again, at which point I deactivated it for a while. Enough was enough. I decided to contact the FBI, explaining what had been going on for over a month now. They documented everything but told me since I or any of my friends and relatives were in no immediate danger, they probably wouldn't be able to do anything. At that point, I felt stuck. I thought about hiring a private investigator or a hacker. I decided against it, however, and just hoped it would fade out if I never answered. I left my Facebook deactivated and ignored any texts or phone calls. I never had any trouble at home, but some of my closest friends received the occasional text as well, which weirded us all out. I hated that they got dragged into it. One day I came home and things just felt very eerie. Door unlocked, windows open, and no one home. A strong breeze running through the apartment. I did a check of the place and found nothing else weird, so I just locked everything up and waited for my roommates to get home. It's been almost 7 months now. The calls and texts have more or less stopped. I'll still get an occasional text, but at most, one every 2 weeks. At the peak of it, I was receiving almost 100 texts a day. It definitely affected my social and personal life. I became much more weary of the people around me and my surroundings. I just felt like I couldn't really focus on anything until this stopped. Work was difficult, though I tried to maintain my composure as best I could. Everything was just weird. Life was weird. I've since stopped using all forms of dating apps and websites. Things are getting back to normal at this point. I just want to put it all behind me. I'm moving at the end of the year, so it'll be nice to have a fresh start in a new place. I'm not going to sit here and say all dating apps are dangerous and no one should use them, but definitely cover your bases. Ask more questions before meeting someone. FaceTime them first, Skype, anything. I was naive about it and I really regret it. Be safe, stick close to your friends, and try meeting people in more traditional ways. Weird Tinder stalker, let's not meet. There you have it, guys. Those are 3 really creepy true Tinder stories that I found online that I just wanted to share with you all. If you guys have had any weird Tinder experiences that you would ever want me to feature in another video, I do have a story time email that I will list down below, and I would love to feature you guys' stories, of course, with your permission. So definitely send those there if you have anything you'd want me to read. Thank you all so much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I love you guys so much, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye!